Hello there to explorers. Welcome to this week's episode of the Hotspot Show. My oh my, we are on top of the world. See where I'm standing right here? Guys, this is Africa's Cathedral of Art, Heritage and Culture. It being the very first Pan-African Heritage Museum. Guys, the rich history that is in here will beg you to stay for the next 30 minutes as we explore the mighty African Heritage House along Mlolongo, where I'm standing already. I can see this vivid and extensive savannah of Nairobi. My name is Yusta Segete and I'm excited to have you on the show. Stick around because there's so much to explore. Right about now, I want to go down to the very first ground, the first floor, where we're going to meet Paul, learn about the history and events and everything that you can do upon a visit here. Sasa tuende. This is the Hotspot Show here on KTN. Let's go to the other floor. See already, so much to explore. There is already a floor up, but tunaenda chini kwa sasa. I knew you were here waiting for us.
Enjoy the view of the park.
Oh my. I almost actually said, see, tufanye tu interview yote huko juu. You know, but then I know that short glimpse Team Explorers has just given you an idea of how it feels and it looks on the outside. And I mean, the show is quite extensive for us to explore everything. Now we are here inside one of these rooms.
Right.
Yeah. Paul.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm feeling energetic.
It's a pleasure to have you here again.
You know, thank you so much for having us here. And I didn't come alone. I have a team of people that are watching and they're eager to know the history of African Heritage House.
This is, I think African Heritage is a monumental place.
Yeah.
You know, this is the most photographed house of Africa, yes, allegedly, because it attracts a lot of cameras and, of course, attention when you visit this place. Mm-hmm. So I'll probably give you an introduction of the place. You've seen different facets of arts that we are exhibiting within our space. And this was a whole concept of an American, the late Alan Donovan, who came up with everything you're seeing collected from over 20 countries of Africa each year. Yeah. But this came on later on because Alan arrived in Africa in 1967, working for US aid during the Nigerian Biafra War. Okay. And he only worked for 2 years, which he resigned. Upon falling in love with the continent, he decided to do a trans-African trip with 5 others. This started in Paris on a VW bus. So he drove all the way through Nigeria, some of the sub-Saharan countries in the north, came to DRC Congo and arrived in Kenya in 1970. Okay,
what a history. Well, you know, conceiving this place, I just want to understand, was this the very first spot of setting up?
Oh, this came later on. This came later on. It wasn't even part of probably the plan, because when they formed the African Heritage Gallery, it was along Kenyatta Avenue where the I&M Bank is. Mm-hmm. So they got moved away to make way for the I&M Tower. It was called African Heritage, and that was the first Pan-African gallery on the continent. It was co-founded by Joseph Murumbi, his wife, also the late Sheila Murumbi, and Alan Donovan. Yeah. So those were the 3 co-founders of African Heritage. This was his private residence, which he started 17 years later, after he arrived in Kenya. It's not under the National Museum. This is still a private residence and a private gallery. But it was when the construction of the SGR, the Nairobi, the Standard Gauge Railway, the original plan was that it was supposed to pass through here. So the house was gazetted as a national monument in 2019, and they decided to push the rail track into the Nairobi National Park. Yes. So being a national monument, of course, we operate under certain parameters that involve the National Museum. Yes.
I see. So beautiful history there to catch Team Explorers. And now we are here. Tell me, this is among the very first rooms, and just looking around, I can see musical instruments, I can see lots of art, I can see lots of ornaments, I like the carpets, the seats, and everything in between. Give us a proper introduction to this particular room and what it serves.
So the house itself, I'll just have the probably everything.
Yeah.
The house is based on what we call the lost mud architecture of Africa, because the concept which he borrowed from Mali, the mud mosque of Djenné, which was the sole inspiration of the house, incorporation of some of the palaces in Morocco, the Swahili style. So when you are seeing through the house, most of the interior is mostly Swahili.
Yeah. Wow.
And so we have different tribal elements and construction designs, the architectural designs. So this is the lower living room. Yeah. We have a lot of artifacts up here. You can see treasures from the royal art of Benin, some of the ceremonial daggers. That is a picture depiction of the Benin kingdom, and that is a chief warrior with some other attendants to him. Benin kingdom was burnt by the British in one of the worst expeditions in 1895, 1897, and most of the things were looted. So the whole kingdom was burnt down. The king died in a British jail. So we exhibit some of their arts here so that we can tell story about the Benin kingdom itself, because Alan intended that his house to be totally African.
Yeah.
So he decided to decorate it with the traditional artifacts and some of them contemporary pieces. Some of the Kenyans' earliest exhibitions by Elkanah Ongesa. So Elkanah Ongesa was from Kisii. He was the first artist to exhibit during the opening of the African Heritage Gallery along Kenyatta Avenue. And this is one of the pieces that Alan bought when he met him in 1972 during the exhibition.
Okay.
Yes. So this is Kisii carving. I think most people are familiar with the Kisii stones carved for various purposes.
Okay, I know when we go to the nitty-gritties of every detail in here, oh my, it's going to be extensive, because you actually tell me it takes at least 2 hours.
At least 2 hours.
To tour the entire...
The entire house. We have a history of almost every item. They were handcrafted, and different tribal elements. Alan was involved in almost every facet of art.
Okay.
From fashion, because he started cultural outreach programs in the 70s, doing fashion shows. You do launches for corporates. He was an interior designer, decorated some of the beautiful spaces like Serena Hotel. And so his house had to be something special for the guests to come and visit.
An extension of character and personality. All right. Now, speaking of which, now that we are still, in the history of this place and just discovering this place, what would you say its importance is, especially in the history, present history, and in the future, of African heritage, culture, and arts?
Well, for education purposes, because this is what exactly Alan intended, that his house to host some of the rare artifacts and objects that he collected from different places.
All right.
You can see a lot of small items. If we decided to go into each one of them, we'll have 2 hours of a tour.
Yes, and we just have like kidogo minutes to do this. I know, back to the rooms, there's beds that are as old as 200 years.
Yeah, old bed, yes, because some of the beds he purchased during the thriving the Dhow trade at the coastal of Kenya.
Okay.
And these are hand-carved elements. Yeah, and you see, the element of African tradition is color, texture, and then we have the carved objects, as you can see throughout the house.
Yes.
To just give the dramatic effect of the of African living.
All right. Now, as we wind up, Team Explorers, I know some of the most popular, famous people that mean so much to, Africa have spent here, have attached here, including the likes of Yusundu, the likes of Wangari Maathai. What contribution did they have, to making this place as is today? I
think, because Alan worked, he had a very intensive connection with a lot of people who are in various fields. And they will come visit, because this was only opened up to the public in 2003. So this was a private home, only friends will come and visit. But then they told him, because these are very rare art that are found within your house. You should open it up to the public. People can come and experience, people can come and learn. We have the likes of the CBC curriculum that we are venturing into now. We have a new program which is called the Education Museum Program. Okay. We're trying to bring in more young guys to come and see some of our traditional aspects. I believe they pushed him towards that.
And here we are, Team Explorers, because of that reason. This is us exploring, allegedly the most photographed house in Africa. And I mean, I like it so far.
Thank
Just
you.
a crazy question I'm just
Right.
about to ask. Might you know, I don't know, have you counted these pieces? Can you give it like a number? How many pieces are
Well,
in
the
here?
house
Because
has an approximately of about 6,000.
6,000.
6,000, and that is from carvings, some of the traditional objects, contemporary pieces, fabrics from almost all over
Okay.
the continent. Yes.
All
so
right.
it's about 6,000 artifacts in the house.
Over and above, Team Explorers, that is part 1 of the show. We are coming back shortly because part 2 is awaiting us with more goodies. See you shortly after this commercial break. Keep it the Hotspot Show here on KTN. Team Explorers, welcome back from that short commercial break. Glad you're still watching the Hotspot Show here on KTN with me, Eustace Segete. Now, today we are exploring the African Heritage House, the very first Pan-African museum. Paul, so far so good.
Thank you.
You've brought us into yet another space.
Right.
I'm liking how high the seats are.
Right. So the most attractive thing special about this area is the panoramic view of the Nairobi National Park, which is also one of the urban wonders in the world, the city with a natural national park within it, or a park. So yeah, it's actually adds on to some of the views and excitement about the African Heritage House.
What a beauty. And back to the skin,
Right.
I mean, tell me, this skin, hii kwanza ni ya nini, hii ni ya nini?
African tradition is that we used to utilize almost everything. Yeah. Whether it's bone, we'll make necklaces out of bone. We'll make carpets out of animal skin. Right. Yeah. Because these are I'll start with this wall because we have hammered panels here. These are beaten panels from the Yoruba, and they tell Yoruba folk tales. We have calabashes.
Yeah, I could just come a bit closer.
Yeah.
Like this one is
These
so
are
huge.
guads.
What? Walikuwa
Those are
wanaweka
guads
nini
from
hapo?
Cameroon. We have Fulani blankets,
Yeah.
some of the textiles from
Okay.
Africa, like the mud cloth from Mali. And did mention to you, Alan was also a honorary chief of the Yoruba community. He was awarded in 2019. This was his certificate of chieftaincy.
Okay,
And
it's like
his title
Babalaje
was of Idosun.
of Idosun.
Yes.
Ooh.
This was due to his work in promoting the Yoruba culture across the world.
Okay, interestingly. So your shirt is almost matching this fabric. Uliiba fabric ya kiti. Is that? You know, just
No,
kidding. But you look very traditional, just
Thank
matching
you.
up with this space.
Right.
And we like it. Including just, you know, by extension, going to cover some of this. This is an album.
Yes,
with
covered
still,
with Kuba cloth.
Yeah.
So Kuba cloth is one of the textiles from DRC Congo.
Okay.
Which is made from palm fiber, hand woven and beaten to be a bit of velvety kind of feeling. As I told you, African elements of art is mostly texture, color, and then the carvings.
Okay, I like it. I want us to go to the other corner. I identified some things. Team Explorers, I want you to come along because we have to see this.
Right.
Yeah.
Here we have a double seat, which was actually a baby cradle from Lamu. Alan
Okay.
made it into.
All right, so you're telling me that was a double seat converted from a baby cot?
A baby cradle, yeah. That was a baby cradle from Lamu, covered with mud cloth, which is also traditionally called bogolofini or bogolan from Mali. And over here we have ostrich eggshell beads, which are carved by the Turkana women. And they used to make beads, which were used either as a currency, adornment, and those are all carved from the ostrich eggshell.
Oh, from this to this. This
To
is
that.
quite heavy. This
Right.
is very light, but
So-
how many years can this one live for? I doubt if it can get spoiled or, you know, for whatever
it can't.
reason,
Yes.
find it with such a unique masterpiece.
Right.
I'm curious to know, what are these?
So these are furballs. I think you understand by the cat having to throw out hair after sometimes from cleaning itself.
Yeah.
So these are furballs from the stomach of a lion, being also just another big cat. It's one of highly prized possession for a Maasai man. We all know the Maasai Moran culture of to prove bravery, they have to go out and kill a lion. So you have to bring these back to show that you have actually
did it.
Yes.
Team Explorers, there you go. Remember this show, we redefine fun and adventure, and us learning about the history of these places. Seeing some of these things, I think, is just a wonder to behold. Yes. And right about now, I want us to go and explore one of the bathrooms, one of the rooms, because you told me there's actually a stone bathtub, and I'm eager to see. All right, let's go ahead. As even we talk about, you know, some of the events. I see you have a poolside by the, you know, the other side, and other things.
Our veranda here.
The view, fresh air.
Fresh air coming in through the house.
Rich history everywhere. Look at this seat.
That is from by the Nyamwezi people from Tanzania. Different contemporary pieces from South Africa.
Yeah.
And this is by Ugandan artist.
Okay.
Yes.
The doors
the
also.
Doors, so most were those, these were all commissioned from Lamu and hand carved from Lamu.
Okay.
Right. Most of the fabric now are not being produced. Like the kikoi. These are some of the original kikois.
Super original.
Very difficult to get them now.
Yeah.
I think most of them are being produced in Chinese. Yes.
Okay.
So this is one of the bedroom. You asked about the one with the bathtub.
Yes.
And I brought you here in Lamu. So this is Lamu bathroom, not bathroom, Lamu room.
Yeah.
Or Lamu suite, yes. You can see it's decorated, the beams which are decorated like the nobles' main houses in Lamu. The pilipili bed, which is all the details of the pilipili bed. These are all hand-carved beds.
What?
With all the small
details.
Yes.
What? Okay, guys, see, remember we established that this is the only museum in the world that you can actually spend the night, 2, 3, you name it, however you're pleased.
Right.
And I tell you, I like how high it is and comfortable. Yes. You want to mean every space could actually be a representation of different countries. Different countries.
That's why it was called a Pan-African, because it's a Pan-African house. It includes almost every aspect from different tribes in Africa.
Okay, and in the same spirit, people come to tour this place.
People come to tour.
Opening hours?
So we open from 9 in the morning, and we admit our last reservation at 4:30 in the evening. But from there, you can visit anytime. We are always open from Monday to Monday, every day.
Okay.
Yes.
You allow walk-ins?
We allow walk-ins, trying to get as many locals to visit these spaces as much as possible.
Okay, and how are they actually taking up this kind of adventure?
Well, we're trying to overhaul our marketing right now, because being this was, as you can see, we are in Mlolongo, and we still have a lot of people within this area that do not even know this place exists.
Team Explorers, remember, the spirit of adventure never dies. It never fades away. And so, for that reason, this show is particularly curated to actually encourage you to explore the world around you.
Outside.
And I can feel the fresh breath. Look at all these Team Explorers.
So every floor has its utility rooms. We have a toilet here, there's a bathroom.
Yeah.
The chairs, these are made from the African Heritage Gallery.
Okay.
So the house. Everything is natural Mazera stone. This is a sundown area where our guests come to have their dinner.
That is actually where we opened our show from, Team Explorers. And Paul said he's taking us to the highest point.
Right.
And I think this is just the perfect place also to talk about the color and the patterns. You call them the Celtic patterns of this building, and each one of them has a meaning.
Yes.
You can just come this way, because I mean, I also want them to see the view. Yeah.
So we have different patterns. I won't call them. They are almost similar to Celtic patterns.
Okay.
But these are traditionally African patterns. They have different meanings. We have ram horns. We have symbols of life continuity. But the patterns on the house, especially on the right side, those were based from Emir palaces from Nigeria.
Emir palaces.
Emir palaces,
Okay.
yes. Those were religious places in northern Nigeria, and some of them on houses by the Hausa people in northern Nigeria.
All right.
Yes.
Guys, even besides this place being opened as a museum, as a place where you can, come and chill, you tell me you also host events.
We do.
And I've seen a DJ set up deck here.
Right.
The people are down there as
Right.
if he's addressing us.
Right.
And it goes down.
Yeah, because we utilize our grounds. You can see this can accommodate up to 1,000 people. People come off from the train track. They can get off there and come to their house, utilize the grounds. We usually host weddings, corporate events, launches, birthdays here on the roof terraces. If there's a small amount of people, they can come up to the roof terraces for their birthday. Our pool house over there is also a very nice area because we have a pool. So people can have their small weddings, or if you're having small function
Yeah.
that involves small groups, so people can go up down there
Okay.
and have their event.
And one of the notable weddings that you've had is the daughter to Wangari Maathai.
Oh yeah, Wanjira Madai wedded her husband here.
Okay.
We have the German, former German ambassador Bellamy, also wedded his wife here. So we have a lot of people coming in to do
For such.
their
And you
wedding.
say you have a tree that is called the tree of weddings because
That is the
where-
wedding tree,
the
right?
wedding
That is the
tree.
wedding tree.
Okay.
The couples come off the train, they come to be officiated under the wedding tree.
Okay.
The home itself is an inspiration for people who are looking for ultra-modern houses. You have to incorporate the traditional aspects into the contemporary aspects. You have a beautiful space like this.
Perfect.
Yes.
And finally, when it comes to meals, I carry my own food or you have that provision?
We usually cook for the guests who come here.
Okay.
We have, this was a private home, so we have a very small kitchen, but we can cut up to 60 people. But all the meals have to be pre-ordered.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
You can make reservations for meals. We accept walk-ins on tours. But if you want to eat, please make an early reservation.
Important to note, Team Explorers, because after 2 hours of exploring a place, food is very, very
Food is very vital,
important.
right.
What a wow, Team Explorers, and such a perfect place to end this show. The breeze is amazing. Tell us, where do you want us to visit? Could be your neighborhood. We are ready and very flexible to come around because we are all about showing you the places that you go to explore and have the best of this life. See you next week, same time, but a different hotspot. From me, Eustace Egete, and the amazing, energetic crew. Take care of yourself and see you there.